the fuck is this?
It looks like a receipt.
Yeah, what for?
It looks like the soda and the cracker.
Alright, smartass, look, why would I pay you for shit I can get in my own house?
Dude, it's not me, it's the ghost.
It's for the ghost?
Yeah, gotta pay the ghost.
It's Thursday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since when has there been a ghost in our apartment?
Have you noticed we've never had to clean anything and there's always food in the fridge?
I just assumed you did that stuff and bought that stuff for me because you liked me.
No.
Oh, okay. No. Also, why would I have to pay a ghost real money?
Come on, man, a ghost has gotta make a living.
No. No, they don't. That's the... Look, I am a factual, logical guy, alright? And I know a few things for sure. There are leprechauns, there are sun sharks, there's Derek, but there is no such thing as ghosts. And I will not be paying them.
Ooh, man, you're gonna get served.
I don't care. Review time. We watched a movie today.
Pay the ghost.
Pay the ghost, which I still will not do. Look,
If you hadn't caught on by now.
yes. So this,
We should have caught on by now. It was the title of the video.
there's a lot of ways to catch on to the title of this
Yeah,
movie.
what are you, stupid?
This movie
Hi, everybody.
had a 10% Rotten Tomato critical score,
23 on Metacritic,
25 on an audience Rotten Tomato score,
and 5.2 on IMDb.
but perhaps the most important rating of all is the 0 to 1 rating of how many Nicolas Cages are in this movie. 1 out of 1, baby. 1 out of 1.
But how much of Nick Cage are we
That's
getting?
what this review will be chastising. So, pay the ghost. Let me try to give a plot. It's difficult to give a plot, not because it's a complicated plot, but because...
I mean, it's very simple.
Well, that's the synopsis. The one beneath it's more the plot. Well, no, that one's the plot. Jesus Christ, they all get longer as you go on. All right. On Halloween in New York, Mike Lawford, played by Nicolas Cage, has just been promoted to professor. He actually got tenure. I'm not sure what promoted there is.
Well, that's 10 years. That's promotion.
Okay. With the support of his friend Hannah. Mike meets his family. They seem to be skipping over the wife here. Kristen, played by Laurie from The Walking Dead.
Well, that's his wife.
Yeah, but they don't say that. Just say his family. And takes his son Charlie to see the Halloween parade. While his wife Kristen goes home to prepare a design for her client. While buying it.
Hey, also, one thing a bit of note, I didn't know that they had a Halloween parade in New York.
Yeah, they might not. Actually.
I don't know if they do. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a certain neighborhood that does, but, like, I've never heard of it.
Mm-hmm. While buying an ice cream cone for Charlie, the boy asks whether they can you pay the ghost, Dad? And then he vanishes. Mike and Kristen seek out the boy and press an NYPD detective named Jordan to find his son. Because your cops are so lazy and you don't do nothing, even though that giant file says,
Find my son!
1 year later, Mike researches and finds that children that disappear on Halloween are more likely to never be found by the police. Furthermore, every year, 3 different children vanish. There's also a connection to a Celtic colony. Okay, this kind of drops off at that point.
Yes.
So from that point on, he discovers it's your general haunting vibe stuff. They call in a psychic, and the psychic's like, wow, there's some dark juju going on here. Let me open the window and dead. That part was not usual. Then the son... Alright, let me see if I get this correct. The son trying to communicate through to the parents because he'll die once the portal closes. Like, die for real good. Once the portal closes after the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, real good.
He's trying to communicate to his parents, so he possesses his mom, tells his dad to save him, and then carves a Celtic symbol into his mom's arm, fucked up, in order to lead them down the right path. So
That was like the one part of the entire movie that I actually cringed at.
yeah. So then they started looking down the Celtic path. They discover this like a thing where Celts, a group of Celts tried to reconstruct their civilization in the New York area. And during an outbreak of influenza, one of the women who was Wiccan and, you know, not with the Christians, so obviously she's bad.
She was a Celt.
Yeah. She was burned along with her 3 children
Because
they thought she caused the influenza outbreak. So she swore vengeance on them, and she will make them pay. After that, she starts stealing children every 3 years because I guess something about the pain of that made her forget what being a mother meant or something. So
I don't know.
I don't know. That was kind of the motivation part. Where it's just like, and
really
we're moving, and we're moving.
Well, it really doesn't actually explain any of that.
No. So Nick Cage ends up talking to this blind homeless guy who's like, hey, here's where you need to go. Into a portal. It closes at midnight. Go get your kid. And he crosses this long, winding bridge. And
apparently, the only awards that this movie got were for Jack Fulton, who was Charlie, the kid, and they're all for just young awards, just young entertainer awards, and young artist awards. And I'm like, so nothing else about this is good.
Continuing on,
review.
They go across this long winding bridge. He finds his son, and the two other kids that were taking that year that they talked to both parents for are also like, hey, can we come with? Our parents don't love us as much as yours, apparently. So he's like, all right, come on, let's go. But then the woman's blocking it. He's like, nah, they'll take my kids. And they fight, and Nick Cage obviously loses. But then all the ghosts of all the other children ever to be taken fight up against the witch, and they drive her off, and the portal is closed, and Charlie's saved, and
because none of these rules have anything that actually have anything to do with coherence,
and everything's happy again until you discover that Hannah, the friend from the beginning, she was killed after doing some more research. That's actually shown, but then in the post-credit scene, MCU style, bah, her eyes open up, and
yeah, she died like halfway through the movie too. And they just never went back to her.
Like midway through, like she died at
that's halfway.
No, midway through like the third act, I would say, because it's when they were running. When the mom was in the ambulance after they went to the
True.
Yeah, so it was late game. Anyway.
Also, I'd like to say that a review on IMDb is great. It says Cage continues to pay the ghost of past debts because, as we know. Barring the news recently of Nick Cage deciding that he's going to retire from acting to work entirely behind the camera, it's the fact that Nicolas Cage's exuberant lifestyle has caused him to go into incredible debt. So that's one of the reasons why he's in like 20 fucking movies a year. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I really actually don't, and I'm going to tell you why. I rarely look to Nick Cage for good acting. Now, there is usually one movie every year. Just one movie a year that he actually does good in. Was it like... I'm trying to see. So, Pay the Ghost... Yeah, he wasn't in any other good movies in 2015. He was only in The Runner in 2015.
Well, man, I'm glad you made your point very strongly.
I guess so, because usually he kind of... Actually, I don't know. He's destroying my own thing here.
Do you mind if I jump in?
Yes, go for it.
Cool. So this movie, as opposed to Nick Cage's entire career, this movie, starting with the general themes and, story of it, we looked through a lot of the horror genre, and one thing I really didn't want to do
He's been in 3 good movies for the last 5 years.
Okay. One thing I really didn't want to do was a generic demon kid / exorcism movie, because it seems like that's all the shit that's being pumped out right now.
Too late.
Oh, okay. But no, yeah, this movie, it wasn't as generic. I mean, they brought in the psychic lady, but then she immediately died, and they had the kid, but the kid wasn't inherently evil. He was just kidnapped. So it kind of broke both things, but it still felt really generic. It still felt really like, okay, yes, ghost lady, kids, ancient religion. I'm just tired of it all.
Well, it also doesn't really stick to its own rules, like I was saying before. It doesn't really stick to its own world rules all that well, considering the fact that, let's say, for an instance, the 3 kids are giving, 3 kids that belong to the ghost lady. They are tormenting. Well, actually, let me rephrase. They are in one scene. Torment Nick Cage. They're standing outside his house, and then they burst into flames, and then that's it. They don't show up for the rest of the movie.
Well, it's because they aren't the ones who cursed the whatevers.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, if they're already involved, that means they should be more involved to begin with.
Well,
Here's the problem
Okay.
that we have with the movie in general is the fact that this movie, one, takes forever to do something.
Yeah, we got an hour in and we barely had anything happen.
Yeah, and like as far as horror movies go, this one is barely even lukewarm. One moment got me a little cringy, and that's when she was carving the symbol on her arm. But other than that, this movie, oh my god, it was.
So there's a few moments where it's a hallucination sort of thing going on, where they both see things, and I can literally list them all off. There's one where he's staring at a wall that's all etched in Pay the Ghost, and a little thing just pops up for like, what do you say, 10 frames? If even? Just
Not even.
So just boop, and then gone.
Like 2,
Yeah.
3.
It's
tops.
super quick. Then there is...
They Tyler Durden her in there.
Then there is the wife seeing the kid's scooter drive itself.
That was
Down, and then-
hokey as fuck.
Oop, that was. Then there's a part where he sees his kid on a bus, but then he gets on the bus and the kid isn't there.
Yeah.
Then there's a part where he looks, and this is the part you were talking about. He looks outside, he sees the 3 kids. The 3 kids burst into flames as they did burn on the stake. Then he turns around and he sees
His
just
son's
this,
there.
Well, no, that's not the son. That's the sea of ghost kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's the sea of ghost kids. It's like, holy shit.
And then there's there, and he's awake.
it's like, oh, okay, well,
But Women in Black did it better.
yeah. And then there's the part where I said he possesses the mom. And then after that point, it's not as much hallucinations as it is just all stuff that actually was happening.
Yeah, I call these little instances. I referenced them actually in a movie. I think it was Wildling recently that I reviewed. I call it flashpan delusions, where it's something that happens like for a moment and it's all disorienting and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then we never bring it up again. And the funny thing is, though, if you think about that term when it comes down to most generic horror films, it happens a fuck ton.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if, obviously if you're dealing with something that is either involved with psychological aspects or if it's involved with supernatural.
Yeah.
Very rarely are these types of jump scares, nowadays anyway, not kind of associated with, like, these really quick cutting, like crazy imagery and all that kind of stuff. I think that really began with when they came out with the remake of 13 Ghosts, because that one had a lot of those types of moments into it, and that I feel really kind of like normalized it for the genre.
Oh, no, definitely normalized now. The one thing I wanted to bring up, though, was just in the topic of what I was saying before with it felt very generic of either Creepy Kid or that, even though it bucked a lot of trends.
Yeah.
There are some trends that it didn't buck, especially in the fact of, okay, the kid drew something. Your guess, is it a unicorn? Is it a house in a family? Or is it a dark, scribbly figure?
Is it a chef's hat? Is it a boxing glove?
So, all in all, it's pretty much... It's pretty much generic in the plot sense, but we didn't expect anything more than that. What we were curious to see was how Nicolas Cage acted in this, because there are multiple volumes of Nicolas Cage you can get.
But
we got the boring one.
We got a pretty boring Nick Cage. I mean, it's weird because you would expect... Alright, let me take a step back. There's a movie that just came out recently this past year called Mom and Dad, which Nick Cage was in. And that one, I have not had an opportunity to see as of the recording of this video. But at the same time, though, I hear that his performance goes like crazy Nick Cage in many parts, but also at the same time it's really great and it follows along with these ideas, and it also reminds me back to when he was in the movie Joe that came out a few years ago, which he also did a really good job, and I did see that movie. You should watch it. And apparently he's coming out with a movie next year which is supposed to be really crazy called Mandy, which I hear is supposed to be really good up to this point, at least for the grapevine anyway. I might be getting wrong information. But the thing is, though, with this type of setup, especially since he's fighting like a ghost on this long ass bridge into this portal into another world.
Straight Silent Hill.
Yeah, seriously, and I'm just he's giving it, he's get behind me.
You kids gotta stay close.
Run! Does anyone have a mint? We got on a scale of 10 cages to none, we got maybe a 3.
Yeah, this was so. The only time that he really outbursted was when he was chasing after his kid on the when he lost his kid at the carnival, he was running around like, Charlie! Charlie! Sean! And then when he saw the kid on the bus, he was doing the same thing. He was sprinting down a street. You pointed out a particularly egregious CGI car.
Oh, yeah.
That was like...
When it like, squealed to miss him and stuff like that. I'm like, that is not there.
That's just not there.
Yeah, I don't believe you at all.
So yeah, it was out of Nick Cage's performance. It wasn't. On the other hand, I do want to give props. I'd say for the entire movie, but particular scenes in particular that made it like really stand out. I forget her name. What's the name of the wife?
Oh,
Kristen is
Sarah Wayne Callies?
Sarah Wayne Callies. She was Lori in The Walking Dead. I don't recall much of her acting in The Walking Dead, mainly because it wasn't very powerful. It wasn't a lot going on there.
She apparently is not even known for The Walking Dead.
I know, which is so weird when I saw it. I'm like, is this her?
It's like, she's in Prison Break.
Yeah, she was. But in this, there's one scene when when Nick Cage is trying to explain, it's like, look, I know this sounds weird, but I think it's ghosts. And she's just like, just stop. And she walks away, and she gives this really, like, emotional breakdown. I'm just like, you let him go. You did that. And she's just letting this entire year of frustrations out on him, and it really works in that moment, at least for me.
Yeah, it was kind of lukewarm for me. I mean, I could definitely buy it, and I could definitely see, like... I think one of the problems I had with that scene is that I didn't like the way that it was directed. I thought that they were kind of reaching for blocking and for, kind of an emotional through line for that scene. And the thing is with this, like, I'll go back and say this again, because I've said this before, and I think when we did our Left Behind review, is the fact that I don't think Nick Cage is a bad actor. I think he is very unorthodox. I think that he has his own way of doing things, but I also feel that his crazy antics and all that jazz do amount to really interesting fruit. My favorite performance of his is when he was in Werner Herzog's Bad Lieutenant called New Orleans, which is a bit of a carbon copy ripoff of Bad Lieutenant, but we're not going to get into that. But the thing is, though, I always feel that Nick Cage, and you can see this back to his better performances over the course of the last couple of years, Nick Cage usually does a really good job if he has a very good director. When he had Herzog, he really did good. And I can never remember the director of Mom and Dad or Mandy, but at the same time, though, from the grapevine that I've been hearing in regards to this, Panos Cosmatos is doing Mandy.
Hey.
His first movie since Beyond the Black Rainbow, which is another reason why I'm looking forward to it, because, just the screenshots alone, it looks insane.
Future David, put up that screenshot.
Yeah.
Bloody Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Damn.
It looks just batshit, and I really want to see it.
Yep.
And that's the same thing when it comes down to Mom and Dad. It's like Mom and Dad's like all about parenting and all your frustrations and all that jazz. And that one was done by Brian Taylor. He's the guy who's responsible for the Crank movies. So you can understand why that movie was crazy. But the fact of the matter is, though, these directors are genuinely good. Like, even though we had Beyond the Black Rainbow on the show, doesn't mean that we still think the movie is bad. We didn't think the movie was bad to begin with. We just thought it was confusing as fuck.
Yeah, we had no idea what was happening.
And I still do.
Recognized it was good. So...
check my letterbox. I've seen thousands of movies, and I'm still confused over that one.
Okay, so let's bring it back over this way. This movie.
It's just a boring run by the numbers.
Other actors in it, none really come to mind. The detective...
But they don't have much of characters to really work with. The detective was a throwaway character.
He was. There was the part where he started...
He's the token black guy.
He went terrible. Off the hint of Nick Cage's character and was like, 3 children get taken every year. And he starts investigating that more. And he goes and contacts a Chinese woman who is running a Chinese restaurant, and her child was stolen. And as soon as they say, the ghost, this huge fire on the walk just explodes, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, what's happening? But then the next time you see him, he's going to pick up the dead psychic, and he's like, I know a lot of bad shit happens around you. I deal with facts. Stay here. And then we, never see him again.
No.
And it's like, okay, so you kind of weren't necessary. The psychic died within her first scene. The kid is gone for most of the movie.
Also, the guy who played the cop was also in Mom and Dad.
Well, maybe he's a Nick Cage tag along. But no, yeah, all in all, acting, it really does come down to the performances from Nick Cage and, I'm going to say Laurie because I keep forgetting. Kristen is her name.
Whoops, never mind. I was on the wrong entry, my bad. Take back what I said.
All right, whatever. Technicals in this.
Yeah, honestly, besides that gross CGI bit,
I also noticed the scene with a lot of CGI flies, just to signify that this one dad who was like, he was a heroin junkie and all that, he had left out rotting food or whatever.
Yeah, I know, and the cop also was in Saw 4. Like, that was one of the things that he was in. So I just wanted to make sure I corrected my info. He was also in Mafia 3. Yeah, technical-wise, this movie is very standard by the numbers. The only reason that I picked it, is because Nick was in it, and we hadn't done a Nick Cage movie in a while.
Yeah,
and because of how poorly it was reviewed, I'm like, okay, well, maybe we're going to get some great Nick Cage camera fodder. But we didn't get that here. We got just a really... And again, this is weird, too, because even when Nick Cage does a toned-down performance, he can really do it really interesting. I keep using really, and my editors are probably squealing at me, but at the same time, that's all I'm thinking off the top of my head. He does have the capacity in order to give really lively performances, and even the bad movies, like, I can't remember, was it Season of the Witch was that him?
No.
I think that was Vin Diesel, right?
Are you thinking of the one where the Wicker Man remake?
No.
Oh, okay.
He came out with one. Let's see if I can find it real quick. He came out with one a few years ago, Season of the Witch. Yeah, he did come out with that one. The Last Witch Hunter was Vin Diesel, but Season of the Witch. That movie is garbage, but at the same time, though, you can tell that Nick is having fun. He wasn't having fun with this. No. I didn't feel anybody was having fun with this. If you know that this unbelievably generic script isn't really going to be much for you, then you gotta liven this shit up for us. Because it's like I've said before, and which was said to me, it's like there's no rules in filmmaking. There's only sins, and the worst sin is boredom. And this movie bored us.
Yeah.
Quite extensively.
No, that's fair. Yeah, for me...
Just gonna move into final thoughts?
I mean, if you want. Like you said, it's... For me, there's a line somewhere, and I don't know where, for horror movies, where innovative new stuff, like, is almost always across the line. It's always the new... Krasinski film, The Quiet Place.
Oh, Quiet Place.
That's across
I still have
the line.
to see it.
Same here, but that's across the line. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so great because it's trying this new thing and all that." It's like really playing silence up and being the thing.
Yeah.
The innovator almost always cross. I've never once seen the same old stuff that we've come across just move across that line. It's never been oh well, yes, this is the same formula as X, Y, and Z. But they did it really well, and it's just, oh wow, look at that. No, it's, whenever it comes to horror, as soon as they know exactly what you're doing, it loses the tension, it loses suspension, and then you're just like, well, when are we getting this scene?
And also the director of this is Uli Edel. He's the one who did the Houdini miniseries with Adrian Brody.
Okay.
So that actually wasn't bad, so that's why I'm kind of confused. He's apparently a very interesting director from Germany. I don't really know much of his work.
But for my final thoughts, yeah, it's a collection of just your standard scary movie, like, okay, a kid made a drawing, and the jumping, the strong winds or whatever. They keep on throwing vultures at these kids and these people, and I don't know why. It's all in all, it's just a generally trying to be exactly what everything else is, and as such, it just blends into the background. So
it's not really bad. It's not good.
No, I would honestly put it in bad, just because.
I said it's not really bad.
No, it's not like Manos levels of just be like, no, nothing fucking's happening. No, it's It's bad in the sense that
It's like think Manos without the lucid plot.
horror's based on two things right now. It's based on franchises, and it's based on the occasional new innovative thing that then turns into a franchise.
I mean, they're trying to make a sequel to Get Out, aren't they?
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of thing where it's like, if you can't come up with something original, if you can't come up with something that's innovative or at least interesting in any way, don't do it. I understand the point of a money grab. I get that, and you can do that, but do it with a different genre or something. I don't know. I'm just really sick of seeing bad horror films. I'm really sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like how it was what I had said before when we had done... what is it? We usually do like romances and horrors. Is the fact that when you get a bad romance or a bad horror film, it is without a doubt the most painful of the genres. Mm-hmm. Bad drama, you come to expect it. Bad action, you come to expect it. Mm-hmm. Bad sci-fi, you come to expect it. But bad horror and bad romance is just something that for some reason it draws out the wound even more. And with this one, the reason that what I consider to be a bad horror is not necessarily just because, okay, it's not scaring me, it's not atmospheric, it's not this, that, and the other. And it's weird that I'm saying this because usually I'm kind of all over the place when it comes down to what a movie needs, because every movie is different. I need in this type of film a clear through line for what these characters want and need to achieve.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get any of that. They just kind of like assumed like stuff was going to... Things fell too conveniently into place, and none of it was actually achieved through effort.
I felt that their through line of wanting their kid back was there, but you
want your kid back. They weren't trying to do anything to get him back.
Yeah, but in the short term of like, what do we need? What step do we need to take next in order to achieve that?
Yeah.
That was always just like and with Darkboard says, go to the hobo village. That's where we're gonna go.
All right, yeah. Again, like it doesn't make much sense when it comes down to its mythology. It doesn't have any consistency on what the powers this woman has. The fact that all of these ghosts are able to rise up and take her down and stuff like that. And also at the end of this movie, none of this stuff got solved.
No,
none of this got solved.
This will happen next year.
Yeah. Say, well, of course, this is 2015, so this movie.
We've lost 9 more kids.
Oh God. But overall, yeah, this movie, I honestly cannot even recommend this movie for a single watch through. Like, not even for Cage or anything like that. It's just a boring movie, and I'm honestly going to have a hard time remembering this at all, so I give this like a good 1.5 out of 5 at best.
Oh, yeah. And that is Pay the Ghost.
Pay the Ghost. Ooh, you got served.
I'm sure it's just another random folder that appeared in our room somehow. You've hereby been summoned to Ecto Court in the ethereal plane.
Yeah, man, I told you, ghost labor unions don't fuck around.
Alright, smartass, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Well, you gotta go to the ethereal plane, you gotta fill out a 53 boo. I know how it sounds, man. Then you get yourself a ghost lawyer and you gotta defend yourself in court.
Ghost lawyer?
They don't like us normies. I could tell, our ghost to do it, but he's a part-time paralegal, but he's kind of bringing the suit, so...
Oh, yeah, that's a conflict of... No! I'm not paying the fucking ghost. I'm not going to ghost court. I'm not doing anything with ghosts, because ghosts aren't real. Alright? And even if they were, I'm alive. What jurisdiction does the dead have over the fucking living? Alright, you hear that, you fucking haunties?
Ooh, now it's a hate crime. Oh, that's mandatory immortality. He's gonna be so conflicted.
Made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.